Play us a little intro.
Here we go. And hello, welcome to Tech Server Nerd. We are broadcasting live through the ice apocalypse, bringing you quality entertainment. I'm here with co-host Drew, and we are doing a little series that we are calling the Comics History Masters in Training, doing a deep dive of the DC animated universe. How's it going, Drew?
That's right, Tech Server Nerd. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. There's nothing I want to do with outside because it's like wet and it's really cold and everything's about to freeze and it's going to be disgusting. So, oh yes, this is the winter storm Landon. So let's go Landon, guys. Let's go Landon.
Now, last time you said your winter weather was like 70 degrees. I'm assuming it's gotten lower since then.
So what happens is it'll just like freeze all at once. Like that's the most we ever really get. I think one winter we had like a couple of freezes and that was very odd. But usually it'll freeze for like the whole place will ice because it doesn't really freeze because if there is any snow, it melts and turns to ice because the ground's so hot. So it'll just get cold enough to freeze and like the whole town will just become one giant layer of ice. And so they just shut everything down. That's how Texas works. It's just like we're like hell no, because it only happens once a year, you know. So, but it's chaos outside. I went shopping yesterday, and it was like it was literally you look like the apocalypse was happening. People were panicked and running around, and it was like we're back to this again. Everyone's getting toilet paper.
It's that dastardly Mr. Freeze again.
Yeah. So we're here to talk about the DC animated universe. So researching this, we decided to. Well, I guess let's introduce the show first. The concept. The concept is that we're gonna share our knowledge on different topics of general pop culture franchises and have discussions about them. You know. And so since we both are big fans of the DC animated universe, that's what we were choosing first.
Yes, it's basically us celebrating what has come before and introducing it to those who may have not been entirely exposed to it, or those who just want to have that nostalgia and relive their childhood.
Because this was all my childhood. The Batman animated series. I mean, my goodness, man, I was like 12, 13 when that came out.
Well,
And it was the
considering I am the same age as Batman the animated series, it didn't hit me until later on.
oh,
But
so you
yeah,
didn't actually read it. You saw it in streamed it later.
yeah, I remember catching episodes of it on Cartoon Network late at night. I think it came on like after Dexter's Lab or something like that. But I just remember being like, this is definitely not the Batman that I have seen on the big screen, which up to that point I had only seen Batman and Robin. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, that one with Jim Carrey and
no,
what's it Arnold Schwarzenegger?
yeah,
Oh my god,
Arnold. Yes.
good times. So I remember because first off, I was with my grandparents, and they haven't been around for a long time, rest their souls, you know.
Mm.
But I was at my grandparents' house, and you know, great that they watched basically talk the game shows. So we watched game shows all day, but there's never anything like cool at night to watch. And I remember when that came in, being really excited because it came on at the PM, so it was like kind of they're like it's going to be more like risque, like it's not going to be an after school, it's going to be for adults, and it's going to be a cartoon. And the people were like, are adults going to watch a cartoon? And I ended up watching that at my grandparents' house and just being like, wow, like it just hit me. I was like, that was because it was a movie. I watched a movie. It wasn't just watching like, a cartoon like Super Friends, It wasn't Super Friends. It wasn't these other like cheesy cartoons. It was like a movie, but done in cartoon, and it changed the game for me as far as animation and my expectations of what I wanted out of my entertainment for sure.
Yeah, it's very rare for a television series, let alone a cartoon, to have this much of an impact on just the source material that they were touching upon. I mean, Batman the Animated Series was truly revolutionary with Bruce Timm and Paul Dini coming together to not only create the best versions of some of these characters that have has ever been seen in the
Oh
scope
yes.
of pop culture, but also like adding to the lore and creating new characters that have only been added into the canon to enhance the experience for everyone. Like it's truly remarkable, and it's definitely deserves its legendary status in geek culture for sure.
We would have never had a Harley Quinn. We would have never had a Harley Quinn had we not had a Batman animated series. She was originally created to just kind of be like a side character, like one of his goons that was a chick, and she was so popular they had to like write her, keep her going on into the series, and now it's like a multi-million-dollar property. I mean, I actually did enjoy the Harley Quinn movie. It was very bizarre, but I enjoyed it as the bizarre, weird thing because it's like her head, which is fucked up. It's like one of those movies, like the Joker movie, where it's like, oh, that whole movie was from their perception and they're fucked up, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and she's also got a great backstory into like how she became who she is now. Like that's another thing when people create characters, they just I don't think they put a whole lot of the thought into it compared to what came before. But with this one, it's very intriguing because it's like, okay, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Someone who was working at Arkham got just wanted to examine the Joker, and then all of a sudden she started to fall for him, and then just kind of became this thing. And there was this excellent book that was put out like a few years ago, uh, just called I believe Harley and no Harleen. That's what it was, Harleen.
Yes. I
And
bought those for my daughter. I've read the
yeah,
first one. I haven't read all three of them, but I bought those for her, and they were so gorgeous. It's like one of her prized possessions, I think. But
yeah,
that
and
art was gorgeous. Who's the guy who does that art? He does a lot of other good stuff. Sergi, do you know the artist?
I do, but it's really hard to pronounce his name. It's like
Yeah, he's like Italian or something. I don't know. I don't know,
mm,
but yeah, he does have some gorgeous art. I think he does some of the he does like barbarian art too, like Conan type stuff. I think.
yeah. And what was really cool about that book is as I'm reading it, I really I really got a Silence of the Lambs feeling to it because it really did feel like Clarice was interviewing Dr. Lecter, same as Harleen was interviewing the Joker. And you're just literally watching this psychopath, this complete deranged person slowly pull this person in with charm and manipulation. And it's just, oh, it was so good. I cannot say enough about that book. It was excellent.
Yeah, um, the art was fantastic, and what I got from it was like, I definitely want to finish it for sure. But also, I guess so. Harley Quinn was one of the characters to come out of it, but wasn't. So Batman Beyond was too, and I mean that's like a huge property. I think I've heard there's talk of a movie, a Batman Beyond movie, with Michael Keaton Batman as old Batman. I don't know if this is true or rumor.
Well, it's not necessarily been confirmed or anything. It's just been this huge dream that the internet has wanted for a very long time. And now that we are exploring all this multiverse stuff and getting characters who have played a different another version of said character and appearing together on screen. It seems we're getting closer and closer to that concept, and Batman Beyond could very well one day be a live action movie. And yeah, if it's Michael Keaton or bust at this point, that and it's just like, yeah, no one else can play aged Bruce Wayne. It's just too perfect.
Well, at the rate that celebrities' hearts are exploding, they need to make that movie pretty fucking quick.
Oh no.
You know, I don't know. It just seems like all their hearts are exploding right now. So,
Oh jeez.
but anyway, yeah, that has got nothing to do with the DC universe,
Is
though.
that is that because of the love for their fans?
Their love for their fans, that's what it is.
Yes.
It just it takes them out,
They're all such great people, and they just have so much to give.
right? So let's just get into it. Let's start at the beginning, man. Batman animated series, dude. Like at the time, it really pushed animation, the movements. Like you look at like X-Men animated, and the action is very weird. Their movements aren't natural. It didn't seem like that they had the skill, but all of the fight scenes and everything that happened in the animated, man, they were smooth, and the animation looked smooth. It looked good enough to be a movie, you know. Really groundbreaking when it came out. What do you think of it when it came out?
Well, like I said, when it came out, I was probably just 6 months old. But from what I've learned years and years later, yeah, it very much did feel like a movie, and a lot of that had to do with how the show was made. I mean, they literally every single scene they used black paper because they knew that a lot of this was going to take place at night. So why not just go ahead and do that? And it turns out that by just doing it all on black paper, it enhanced everything that was taking place on screen, and it just gave off some really cool dynamics as far as the images and the scenery were concerned.
Yeah, and they said they were trying to pay as much homage that to Tim Burton as possible, and I think I heard one person mention that Tim Burton was a producer, but then I heard that that wasn't true. But you could tell that they were trying to pay homage to Tim Burton like a lot through the animation and the style and the way they created it.
Well, when anyone's talking about Batman the animated series, it's nearly impossible to not bring up the 1989 Batman movie that was directed by Tim Burton, because in a way it really did revitalize the character and made him more edgier and serious, and no interpretation of Batman had done that since Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, where people were like, "Oh, this is Batman too." Like we have our silly, corny Adam West Batman who's dancing and just can't seem to get rid of a bomb and shark repellent and bat shark repellent, all that stuff. And then you've got this Batman who's like, "Oh, this guy's he's on a personal crusade, and he's gonna hold himself to it that he keeps the promise to his parents after that, they were murdered." And he's like, "I cannot avenge you guys, but I will bring justice to all the criminals in this world so that no other kid will have to experience what I went through." And it's just incredible. And then yeah, Batman hits the screen with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, and from there Warner Brothers is just like, okay, we've really got something here. And so the plan eventually was, well, we definitely want to get an animated Batman on TV so we can make them toys, because when it comes to any cartoon, it's all about the toys, the
Oh
merchandise,
yeah,
you know?
marketing is king. That's where a majority of that money comes from.
Yes, very much so. And you'd be surprised how many cartoons have been canceled because the right demographic was not buying enough of the toys. It was always a different demographic, and that's not who we wanted to market to. So when that happens, instead of like being like, "Oh yeah, we've really created some synergy here between different kinds of demographics," it's, "No, we failed and we must cancel this and start all over." It's just some things in entertainment have just never made any sense to me. But we'll get there. So anyway, yeah. So you've got this Batman movie and it's huge, and then like, okay, we want to get this TV show made, and then all of a sudden, like it was just lightning in a bottle. All these things came together. Like literally, Warner Brothers did not have like an animation studio since like the Looney Tunes days, and they're
So
like, well,
did they license out that franchise to another company to make it, or did they hire an outside studio to make that the
no,
original Batman animated?
what they did is they brought in people who had experiences with animation, and they said, hey, you've got your well, first off, it's important to know that Batman the animated series all started on Fox Kids. It wasn't on Kids WB or anything. That was still years ahead before. And so what they did is they brought in all these people who had experience with animation in the past, and they just basically said, okay, we're going to start our own studio, essentially. And so Warner Brothers Animation Studios was born.
That's
And yeah, and then that's where you get your Animaniacs, your Pinky and the Brain, Freakazoid, all those shows that were running
Tiny
around at that
Toons.
time. Tiny Toons, definitely Tasmania, you name it. So
Yeah, that's what it's like. Every studio needs their animation wing. I mean, I I gonna get a little bit off topic, but I want to mention what they did on the Star Wars Visions, where Disney, all those were Disney studios. They have like the Studio Ghibli, they got Pixar, they got the people who are doing the Marvel stuff now. Like they like multiple different studios for different types of projects, all owned by the parent company. So each one of them did a Star Wars movie, you know. But
yeah, a short.
But yeah, so it's good for them to have multiple studios. That's just what I thought they were doing with the movie universe and the anime. I didn't realize that they were separate. And I think that you can kind of, because I was completely ignorant to that and it still worked. I just think they didn't want their characters to end the same way these characters did. But, we can
Well,
pretend that the animated universe was real somewhat in that movie universe.
yeah. So you're referring to the DC animated films universe, which
Is
kicked off, I want to say, more than 10 years ago now, where they actually kept releasing movies that were part of a timeline that had actual canon to go along with it. So like the next one would be like the next chapter and stuff like that.
So
Yeah.
DC Animated did have movies. I think that's how like 4 or 5. I can look them up, but I know Mask of the Phantasm was a big deal. But that was it was a movie theater release, right?
Yeah, Mask of the Phantasm, which came out in 1993, so about a year after Batman the Animated Series premiered. Because of the success of the animated series, they're like, well, we want to do something a little more intense and professional. Let's put out an actual Batman animated movie with all of our same styles, and even get the same composer and the same voice actors. And yeah, it had a film release. It was put out in theaters around Christmas, I believe. So
Yes, I remember that. It was part of the holiday. It was like there's a Batman movie to go see,
mm-hmm.
and got him much more to the darker night. It's been so long since I've seen it personally, but I've watched a couple of videos on it to kind of prepare for this, and so it brought back like the darker Batman to where Batman became a very feared criminal. Because at the beginning of the Batman animated series, like especially season 1, Batman is oftentimes ineffective as a hero. Like he makes mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And you see his progression from Batman animated series to Mask of the Phantasm, where that was the moment which solidified him as the Dark Knight, the thing that all the criminals feared, you know?
Yeah, well,
And beyond that, like later on in Unlimited, dude's fucking running up and punching Darkseid. You know what I'm saying? Fearlessly. Fearlessly. It's like, hey, boom, I have no powers. I'm gonna punch Darkseid. So you really did get to see Batman kind of level up and grow through these series.
well, and the Mask of the Phantasm was kind of used as like this, like the origin story for their Batman. It's like, yeah, his parents got killed, but there was another moment where he doubted himself and didn't think that he would be Batman for as long as he ended up being. And yeah, and if anyone's seen Mask of the Phantasm, then you know he meets this girl, and they almost get married and all this stuff. But then, like towards the end, you see him put on the cape and the cowl, and he's like, "No, I have to do this. Like I made a promise, and I'm going to carry this out. I'm going to do it." And then from there on, you just kind of see him. You kind of see the 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 BGTOW, the bat going his own way, you know.
It's a big toe, big
Yeah,
toe, big
instead of
toe.
big toe, it's like
Batman going his
big,
own way.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's fucking
Yeah,
hilarious.
big Hal. Yeah, that's it. Batman going his own way.
Big towel.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and what's really cool is even though he's making mistakes in that first season, thanks to like the incredible writing and the direction that show took, it still ends up looking really cool because you're not focused on the mistakes he's making. You're just focusing on how badass he is. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because he recovers and he pushes through, and it's like his perseverance and his drive.
it's almost like he couldn't just become Batman overnight. You know, it's like it took a lot of years of dedication and training and self discipline and all these things to make him the hero that Gotham needed. So
The hero that Gotham needs.
yeah,
And you were talking earlier about the reworks of the character. While we're still on Batman animated series, we have to
yeah,
like shout out to the villains, the way they remade like the villains, like who is the
oh yeah,
mud guy? The mud man.
Clayface,
Clayface.
yeah.
Clayface was brilliant. You know,
And what was so
Two-Face
great,
was brilliant.
yeah, yeah, what
Penguin was, I think they made them new and they didn't make them cheesy, but they didn't make them like normal. They just made them bizarre characters.
Well, and what was so great on how they portrayed Batman's rogue gallery is they gave most of them tragic backstories where you just really feel for these villains. I mean, hell, the biggest example of that is Heart of Ice with Mr. Freeze. Before then, he was Mr. Zero in the comics, and nobody really cared about him. But thanks to the magic of Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, they created such a backstory that literally years later, an official Batman movie from Warner Brothers put that actual story in the script. And
And
that
then
was
made it weird. They still made it weird. I mean, it's a great story, but like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, like trying to look like my sad, you know, like you're sad, make your sad Arnold Schwarzenegger face. It doesn't work, man.
what
Anyway,
killed the dinosaurs?
you
The Ice
we've talked
Age.
about this before, and my personal opinion is we need a Mr. Freeze movie, much like we had a Joker movie, and we go through realistically just him and his life, like my wife's dying, I'm a scientist, so I'm gonna save you, like going through that whole, because it's a tragic story, you know, and he does it for good, and it just completely consumes him and makes him cold, and he just wakes up a villain one day.
My only question with that is would it suffer from some of the problems with the Venom movie, because like if we're going to have a Mr. Freeze movie, well, we can't put so much emphasis on Batman, you know, and it's
No,
the
it'd be
same.
like a pre-movie, like the Joker was. Like, don't even get into Mr. Freeze. Have it about the guy who's eventually becomes Mr. Freeze. Like it
Mm,
ends with him becoming Mr. Freeze.
okay.
Like that's the end of the movie.
Okay.
Like like a more psychological thriller type movie, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has to appeal to the normies, and unfortunately, Mr. Freeze is just not that huge of a character, even though he's become one of the more memorable villains for Batman's Rogue Gallery. He's still not at that point that like Joker or even Two Face or Bane is at. You know, they got to have such a huge, significant impact, and unfortunately, I think that time has passed for Mister Freeze because they haven't really done anything remarkable with the character in recent memory.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't really think of anything that he's really been in.
Yeah,
At least not on the animated movies.
right, exactly.
And we know he's not in the DCEU.
Well, remember, Batman and Robin was so um, panned by critics and audiences that Batman live action Batman ceased to exist for like 8 years. So,
Bastards.
which is which
Y'all
is crazy
killed
to
Batman.
which is which is
What did
crazy
you
to
do?
think
I killed
about.
the
But
Batman. I remember watching that director, like watching like some of the media stuff, and it was the director talking about the film before. He's like, and the critics were, it's such a visionary, like it's a visionary explosion. It's like it takes it's art on a higher level, you know. And they were like, the way they were talking about it was like this was gonna be like the biggest, and then it was like it was literally Prince Batman is what it was. It was like Purple Rain meets Batman. And Arnold Schwarzenegger of all people to be Mr. Freeze, like come on.
well, and what was so devastating about that is that was the film debut of Bane, and it was just
Oh,
done
his
so horribly. It's like,
yeah,
no, this is not the character that Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan created. It's it's like, no,
yeah.
that just he doesn't just go off on a rampage because he's had acid put into his body. There's more to it than that. He's got to be menacing. He can't just look like a sumo wrestler. You put a sumo wrestler on, I don't know, this mole looking thing and just say, yeah, this is our Bane. No, no.
You know what version of Bane I do love? And this is again getting out of the DCAU, DC animated universe, but Harley Quinn. Bane and Harley Quinn. He's like the beta dude, right? Like, and they're all the like alpha like villains, and so they all just like genuinely make fun of Bane. So it's everybody versus Bane, and like they make Bane sit in a small chair. You know, he's like, "Why don't I get a chair like y'all?" And like, "Sit down, Bane." You know, Penguins like, and it just I do like that version of Bane a lot.
Yeah, I took issue with how they did Bane in that show. And I get it that it's a comedy, but it's like Bane is respected for a reason. And then when they tried to do the No Man's Land thing in seasons 2, they fixed that a little bit, but he was still a little bit of a joke.
Didn't he
So,
come back? And yeah,
and in that season of Harley Quinn, season 2, they end up killing Mr. Freeze. So there you go. That was the last thing people can recall when it comes to Mr. Freeze. So it's like, dang. Oh man. But
So
yeah,
after Batman animated, this is one I haven't watched, and so I'm hoping you've watched it. If not, I could pull some of the wiki stuff up. But there was the New Adventures of Batman, which had Batman, Robin, and Batgirl,
and Nightwing.
and Nightwing. Yes. So
Well,
did you watch this one?
Well,
Because
before we
this was
touch on,
not one I've seen, and I'm actually going to go back and watch that shit on HBO this week.
before we touch on that, I think it's important to note that after the initial run of Batman the animated series, the network came back to the guys and they said, "Hey, we Bruce Timm and them, hey, we really like what you guys are doing, but we want to market this now more towards kids because we've got a huge hit on our hands. Do you think you could start including Robin a whole lot more?" And so the show became The Adventures of Batman and Robin. And then you've got that going on. And then those runs of episodes uh, pretty much finished out the original run of Batman the Animated Series before the new Batman Adventures, which only came about because of the studio's success with the creators with Superman, the animated series. Because what they had to do is like they had to bring back Batman, which they thought they were done with at that point, and basically draw all these new designs so that they would fit into Superman's world. And that's kind of where we get the universe building aspect of the DCAU when it all started to be put into place, essentially.
Yeah, he brought in the cosmic side
Mm-hmm.
of the universe, kind of like the Guardians did with Marvel.
Yes, very much so.
And that the thing I love about the Superman. So which one came first, Superman animated or the new Batman series? Like,
The new Batman Adventures was created to run concurrently with Superman the animated series
okay,
because
so they came out together.
well
That's
Superman
kind
came
of
out
cool.
Superman came out first, and then once that had really taken off, they were like, "Do you guys want to do more Batman?" And they're like, "Heck yeah, but we want to fit him into Superman's universe because now we can get this going." And Superman the animated series, it all originally started because they wanted to try and tackle the Justice League right away. And then when they found out that this isn't really going to work, I mean, we can put some of those characters into our episodes, but I think they were just like, it's just technology limits at the time and everything else. It just made more sense to for the next step to go with Superman. So
Right.
that's what happened there. And a lot of Superman the animated series, they're like, well, what kind of villains can we do? Because people are really only familiar with Lex Luthor and maybe Brainiac, but other than that, uh, people aren't that familiar with Superman's rogue gallery as they are Batman. So they were like, well, and then that's where Darkseid comes from. They're like, and
Yeah.
they were such huge fans of Jack Kirby. They're like, we're going. This gives us the chance to bring the fourth world into animation for kids to like get exposed to all of this for the very first time. So then, yeah, you got Darkseid, and then Orion shows up, and all these wonderful characters. I think Mr. Miracle was in there at some
Yep.
point, and yeah, so it was really cool. And honestly, the first time that I was ever exposed to anything like that, when I just recently finished watching Superman, the animated series, all the way through just a couple years ago, and it was a ride, and it was really really fun. And actually, Superman, the animated series, turned out to be even darker than Batman, which I didn't think was possible. But oh my goodness, some of the some of the villains that they had, the things that are done to certain characters, it's just like, oh my goodness, we really have gone to the next step. So it was such a good time. I cannot say enough about the Superman the animated series because once again, these guys just came out and created like the defining version of this character, like the one that you remember from the comics, the one you've always wanted to see.
The one that loved America.
Well, yeah, that too. I mean, there had
That's
not
the other thing
been.
to say about that series is like patriotism and like love of America was like at the heart of the Superman series, like kind of like Captain America, like, and it was very based, very based.
yeah, yeah, Superman seemed to be more concerned about his country than just the entire world, you know? I mean, of course he wants to save the entire world, but as far as like he cared about where he came from, he cared about his upbringing. He took those morals and those values with him to Metropolis.
Yeah.
Yeah, just and look
You
where we
don't
are
see
now.
that today. You don't
Yeah,
see that today.
no.
Like it's not in today's comics. It's just not there. Today's stories.
Well, with the DCAU, that's like the example I always bring up when it comes to how do you treat a property that's been around for such a long time, but at the same time, how do you treat the fans of that property? And like you want to give them the best experience that you can, and it's like, damn it, everything that the Timverse gave us is just absolutely brilliant and truly the very first extended universe to ever exist as far as the superhero genre is concerned. Like,
You were telling me about a plot line that started in Batman, went into Superman, into Justice League. Do you recall what you were
yes,
talking about? And I
yeah,
was like,
but
tell me on the show. Tell me on the show.
well, like
He
we were
says one of the
saying,
best story arcs of all time.
oh
And
boy.
it went through that Superman. It was on another show.
Yeah, so we're gonna jump a little ahead here. I want to say probably like maybe like 10 years after Superman the animated series when we're getting into Justice League Unlimited. Uh so for anyone who hasn't seen any of Justice League Unlimited, you can just tune out now and then watch this when you finally do see it, because the reveal and everything, how they did it was so clever. It's one of those moments where you're going like, you son of a bitch, you actually did that, you pulled that off, like out of nowhere. And it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, that is so stupid, why would you do that? It's like, no, that is so clever, and it's believable because it actually did happen. So there's an episode of Superman the animated series where Lex is basically being held hostage by Brainiac, and because he needs him to create, like, I don't know if it was like some kind of machine or something like that. But anyway, that's not important. But basically, so so basically, towards the end of the episode, Lex Luthor is trying to get away, and Brainiac zaps him, and you're just like, okay, well, uh, Lex got zapped and he got attacked, and now he's like passed out on the floor, yada yada. Superman will come in and save him, blah blah blah. The episode's over, whatever. Well, as we continue to explore this show, it then turns out that Brainiac has completely disappeared. He's gone. There's no trace of him. He's never, going to come back, and that's just it. And then we flash forward all these years later to Justice
Done
League.
deal.
Yeah, exactly. Then we flash forward to Justice League all these years later, and Lex has got this huge plan to take over the world. And what he's going to do is he is basically going to become one with the body of this android that he met in Justice League. And he's going to, like, because Lex has like some kind of cancer or something like that, and so he's
This is the
going to
green suit, right?
well, he uses the green suit to cause mischief, and to basically go one on one with the Justice League. So it's like a super suit essentially. But no, it's like it's revealed in the show in the Justice League Unlimited that he's got like some kind of sickness, and he knows that he's dying, but he knows that if he can like infuse himself with the body of this android, like he's basically going to become one with this android, and then he can like live forever. And then as he's about to do that towards the end of the season 2 Justice League Unlimited, all of a sudden Lex's body starts to do something weird, and it kind of like just like transforms, and then all of a sudden it's revealed that Brainiac has been inside of Lex the entire time, and now is like the perfect moment to show his face. So now Brainiac can become immortal inside this android's body, and it's just it's one thing to just talk about it, but it's another to like experience it all.
I actually remember the exact episode. I literally watch Justice League Unlimited like every year. Like I revisit. It's just like now I'm regretting like why haven't I gone back to Batman? Why haven't I gone back? I've never even seen the next series of Batman or the New Adventures of Batman. I haven't seen it. You know. Was there anything spectacular about that series?
Justice League Unlimited?
You got the Nightwing stuff, you know.
Oh, the new Batman Adventures. Yeah. Yeah, it gave us.
How did it play in with Superman? You said it like ran alongside.
Yeah, so on Kids WB, they had a show every weekday during their after school block of cartoons, and it was called the Superman Batman Power Hour. And what it was is it would show either a Superman the Animated Series episode, or it would show a new Batman Adventures episode. You didn't know which one you were going to get, but it was so cool because the intro would play and it would show both of the characters in their worlds. And you're just like, it's the Power Hour, so which one is it going to be? Is it going to be Batman or Superman? And then you would just find out on your own. And it was just really cool. So yeah, that's basically what it is. They wanted to create.
I remember that, the Power Hour.
They wanted to create the other half of this Power Hour. So how are they going to do that? Well, they got to have two shows that run concurrently to each other, and that's what it is. And then they changed up some of the styles for Batman and his villains and his friends just to fit with the animation of Superman the Animated Series. So I would say that some of the newer designs for some of the characters, they're not as refined as the original Bruce Timm drawings, or in the case of Mr. Freeze, like Mike Mignola and people like that. But there are some changes that I liked, but for the most part, I tend to stick with the original designs from Batman the Animated Series because I think those are just the defining looks of all these characters, from Two-Face to Mr. Freeze and the Riddler and even the freaking Joker. I mean, come on. So, which
now there was a Joker movie as well. Not the Batman Beyond one. We'll get to that one later.
Oh, but,
yeah. There was a Batman animated movie with the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I'm getting it out. But so we've got those initial. There's 3 shows start like setting the floor, right? And what we get, there was a project called Project Zeta. I actually never saw it, never heard of it until I was looking it up for it here. It was 2 seasons about an android.
Mm-hmm.
The Zeta Project. But wasn't there a Flash show, or it just goes straight to Justice League?
So the first appearance of Flash in the DCAU actually takes place during an episode of Superman the Animated Series, where it's that iconic moment where they're both going to race each other and see who's faster. It's even teased at the end of the Joss Whedon Justice League movie. But that one was just all them about how Flash is like, yeah, of course I'm going to outrun Superman. I'm a speedster, you know? But what's really cool about that episode is it really shows that Superman could give a damn about competitions and like who's better. Like if someone's in trouble, if someone needs help, he's going to go to them, and he could care less if he loses. So I think that was one of those character defining episodes for Superman in that show. Definitely. And then, yeah, Flash is more cocky and everything else, but he eventually he's like, yeah, I need to help too. So even when he's losing, Superman's an inspiration. That's what I love so much about that character. He's He's definitely been my favorite for as long as I can remember. Heck, I've got a Burger King toy from their Superman the animated series toy line sitting on my desk.
Like a
Uh,
McDonald's toy?
it
Or
was
is
from
it
Burger
Burger King?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
from Burger King, and it's just basically like it's the Daily Planet globe, and then there's like a little piece on Superman's chin, and you just place that on top of the tower, and it looks like he's like flying over the Daily Planet. And I've had that toy since I was a kid. And I just love it so much. I still keep it on my desk. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
But
I I got into the CW Flash with a friend of mine.
yeah.
I didn't make it the whole way through, but man, I was like, I didn't know there was so much to the Flash, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I definitely grew up with Superman and Batman. Um, yeah, not a lot of Flash. And yeah, the CW one was wild, to say the least.
Yeah, after Smallville, I didn't watch any live action superhero
They're
shows.
horrible, man. They're horrible, all of them.
I wouldn't like I remember I wanted to watch the premiere of Arrow, but I just never got around to it all the way through.
I got through
Uh
2 or 3 seasons of Arrow. I got through and then like I was kind of excited about Stargirl and like I was like because of Justice League Unlimited, I wanted to see Stargirl and I got through the first episode and I was like, yeah, this isn't I can't do this. This is made for teenagers.
yeah, man. A lot of the reason why I love Superman has a lot to do with my dad. He would watch Smallville every Thursday, and then one day he had to go to like a meeting, and he asked me to tape it for him. So, because that will just tell you right there how old I am. But
Yeah,
and
take the Smallville.
yeah, and and I remember just sitting down in my basement, and I taped it for him, and I watched it, and it was a really good episode, and I was like, okay, I like this. And then like years later, I'm like, okay, I'm finally going to sit down and watch a season of this. And I watched like the entire fourth season where Lois Lane gets introduced into the show, and I was like, okay, I really like this now, and I've just been a fan ever since. So yeah,
Have you
I,
seen all the Flash stuff then?
there was some Flash stuff.
No, I'm talking about the CW.
No. Like I said, after Smallville went off the air, I didn't watch any superhero show.
Yeah, I think Flash went for like 3 or 4 seasons. It was kind of
I
like,
thought it's
damn, that's
I thought it was still going.
it might be. It's a lot of it's a lot of it's a lot of property and franchise to get into.
Hmm.
So where are we at? I think we're moving into Batman Beyond, man. Isn't that which
Well,
kind of
we've got a little more to talk about when it comes to Superman
oh
too.
yes, let's go back to Superman.
So, did you know that there is a character in Superman the animated series that his look was pretty much inspired by Jack Kirby? Like they designed the character to kind of look like Jack Kirby.
That's awesome. Who is it?
It's his name is Dan Turpin, and he's on the police force in Metropolis Police.
Oh, that's so awesome. So he's like eternally a cop in um, Metropolis.
Yeah, man, and well, if you don't care that I spoil it, but for those who haven't
Please spoil it.
seen, for those who haven't seen Superman the animated series, what made this show so dark is that this same character that I was just talking about, Darkseid kills him like with his Omega Ray. Like he's just completely
He kills
vanquished.
Jack Kirby.
Yeah, he kills Dan Turpin off, the character that was inspired from Jack Kirby's
That's fucking
facial
that's not
features.
good.
Yeah. And what's really cool is the funeral scene. Bruce Timm and his guys, they made all the people that show up at the funeral designed them off of characters that Kirby created, and including Marvel. So like when you're watching this scene, they're kind of covered up to avoid any kind of legal trouble, but you can pick them out. But you can see like this is clearly Tony Stark. This is clearly Steve Rogers. This is clearly the Fantastic Four, stuff like that. And it was such
On
a
the
cool thing.
animated?
Yeah, they're all animated.
No, on the Superman animated series?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go rewatch that.
Yeah, they're not in their like superhero outfits, but like they're just like in clothes that you would wear to a funeral. I was like, when you can
So
see
that's how
that
they were paying tribute to Kirby.
because Jack Kirby had only been dead for like 2 years, and his loss was already being felt by everyone in the industry. So when that episode aired, they could only air it once, and then for years that was kind of like it's like, oh well, is this going to be legal trouble down the road if we want to like keep this scene the way that it premiered on TV? But as it turns out, that as they put out the show on Blu-ray, they went back and remastered it and they left it in.
Oh,
And
cool.
you can clearly see all these characters and what they were trying to do. It was really cool.
I mean, yeah, I think that Marvel should respect Kirby enough to just not get mad about a memorial to him, you know?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, he was the king. How can you get upset over anything like that when he's had such a huge impact?
Impacted every company.
Yeah. I mean, don't forget when Jack Kirby left Marvel, DC welcomed him with open arms and said they like almost just gave him a blank check and said, "Come up with whatever you want." And that's where he created the fourth world, Darkseid, and the new gods and all that. So yeah.
Oh, I'd love to go back and read the New Gods comics now. Like the originals. But oh, that's really cool though. I never knew that.
Yeah, it really is. It's just one of those things, and I would have never learned that had I not watched the special features on my DVDs. And like, that one of the things I really liked about that kind of stuff being available to any of the fans is that you can clearly see the love and the passion that these creators put into these properties, because they weren't just thinking of like, well, how do we please this demographic? How do we please these people? How do we please that? It was just more about, no, man, we're fans of the comics, and that's what we've got in our head. That's what we want to bring out onto TVs for kids to see.
Yeah.
And it's just there's something about that kind of level of creativity that just does not exist anymore.
So true. Was
So we get
Doomsday ever in the Superman series? Don't I remember there being a little Doomsday storyline in there?
no, but Doomsday does eventually show up, but we'll get to that eventually.
All right.
Not in Superman though. But so anyway, so the so it seems most of the time Superman's just going up against Lex Luthor and Brainiac here and there, stuff like that. Well, towards the end of the show, Darkseid comes back, and the series finale literally is an episode where Darkseid has essentially kidnapped and brainwashed Superman to make him think that he was the child that was traded to Darkseid by the Allfather in the fourth world, and essentially thinks that he was raised by Darkseid.
So the
So
Allfather's kind of like the not Zeus. What the fuck's Thor's dad's name? The Godfather?
Odin, yeah, Odin,
Odin. Odin. Is
yeah,
he like the Odin of DC?
yeah, yeah. You could say that, yeah. So, and for people who are more, like I said, like we said, this show is called Comics Masters. What was it? Comics History Masters in
Comics
Training.
History Masters in Training, so we're
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
masters.
If I'm making mistakes with the names of these characters, well,
Comment
there's
and
there's our
we'll answer your
justification.
comments.
There's our justification right there. We are just in training. We even admit it. So
We should change it to Padawan. Comic History Padawans.
yes,
You know,
I like it.
make it all Star Warsy.
Yeah. So
You know, but yeah, we're working on it. You know,
yeah, and
yeah, we
put like,
actually came up with this yesterday. The whole idea. We're like, okay, like what do we
why
know the
don't you
most about?
I was gonna say, why don't you make a template where like the Padawan rat tail is like hanging off the side, and that will show
Of the
you.
logo.
Yeah, well, yeah, the logo or just like
It'll be
the
on the word Padawan. There'll be like a little rat tail coming off the P.
yeah, there you go.
Yes.
I like it.
Why do they do that? They're like all rednecks. Like young Jedi's are rednecks. Oh my god. I'm okay. I'm not gonna spoil this because I can't. It's the most amazing thing. But I was yelling at the TV today in complete joy and complete like satisfaction at Boba Fett episode 6. It was the greatest thing of it was the most fan service of Star Wars I could have ever asked for. And I'm not going to spoil it because it literally I think just came out today, but go watch episode 6 of Boba Fett. It is literally the last Jedi that we needed.
Well, thank you for telling me that, because that only makes me more curious to like actually start watching the show. And for someone who actually got the Luke Skywalker appearance spoiled for him at the end of Mandalorian season 2, I'm looking forward to it because nothing is more exciting than knowing that there's something big coming up, but you don't even know what it is. So
Yeah.
I'm very touchy when it comes to spoilers.
Oh yeah. I hope
So,
I don't I think they can spoil anything, but yeah, I'm
yeah.
just saying go watch it. Hey, Agent Cub, hello from Russia. Hello, Agent Cub. We are huge in Russia, apparently. This is our huge
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've got some bots that like to show up from time to time. They're like our fan base, you know.
yeah, and humans. Maybe this Agent Cub, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for watching the show. So anyway, we were talking about
Yeah.
robot.
So Superman is missing for weeks and nobody knows where he is. Uh Supergirl has like constructed this like robotic version of Superman who has to like just, and she like controls him from the fortress. So like she has to be there at all times just to give off the impression that Superman is still around and he's not missing, and so there's no chaos being created in Metropolis. And
Right.
it's and then eventually, and Superman's like all dressed up in this and like this like dark side inspired outfit, like apocalypse battle armor, and he comes down with all of these all of Darkseid's what are they called?
Minions.
Not minions,
Grandma
but
Goodness. She's one of my
well,
favorite characters.
Granny Goodness is in the show, yes, but
Apocalypse or something? Apocalypse?
no, not Apocalypse. Um, dang it, it's on the tip of my tongue. But
Oh,
anyway,
thank you, Agent Cub. Agent Cub says that Russia will destroy our American friends except for you. We love your show. Well, thank you, Agent Cub, for sparing us. We appreciate it. All right. All right, Drew. What's up?
yes, and my apologies about the Soviet Union, but not really. So, uh, anyway, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but anyway, he's like, so Superman comes in with like all these minions of Darkseid, and he just like starts going to town, like creating these almost starting a war essentially, and he like attacks a military base, and all this stuff happens, and then eventually someone gets up to him with kryptonite, and then he like comes back to his senses. But then when he snaps out of it, he learns that like the one friend that he had that he was working with has turned his back on him, and Supergirl can't believe what she's seen either, and she's mad at him, and really, I think the only one who truly does come to his aid once she realizes what has happened is Lois. Like he's got no one else. Darkseid has essentially turned everyone that Superman loves against him, except for Lois, of course. But that just speaks volumes of their relationship from over the
Always the
years in all
worst,
kinds of
man.
different mediums. Yeah, exactly.
That's what my
And
enemies always do to me too. They turn everyone against me, man. It's terrible.
so so anyway, Superman is livid. He's absolutely pissed, but they've kidnapped Kara and they put her in a military base. And
Kara, Supergirl Kara?
yeah, his cousin. And
Yes.
yeah. And he's so pissed because like they've like locked her up and she's got they're like experimenting on her. She's under the control of kryptonite. So she can't defend herself. She can't do anything. So he has to go in there and bust her out with Lois's help. And then eventually he's basically got to take the fight to Darkseid. And he just, once he gets on Apocalypse, he just beats the stuffing out of this guy because he's like, how dare you? You've ruined my reputation. You've ruined my life. He's just so livid that and you're a murderer. You killed Dan Turpin and all this stuff, and it's just like Superman the animated series just ends on such a tragic note because you're like, oh my gosh, are people going to forgive him for what he's done, or is he just going to be exiled from here on out, even though Lois still cares about him and is on his side? So we don't really get any answers to like what happens to him until we get to Justice League, where we see like an older Clark with way more experience, and he's just become, I guess, not as innocent.
Reactionary and emotional.
Well, yeah, that too, but also
Stoic,
not.
more stoic.
Yeah, more stoic and not as I don't want to say childish or not even naive, but he's woken up to what the world is really like, essentially. And he's just learned that he's got to control himself, essentially. So, but yeah,
Kind of
it's
like Black Bolt, you know? It's like, I have a lot of power. I could easily destroy a lot of these little earthling human thingies very easily.
yeah.
So let's we want to get into Batman Beyond. You can do Batman Beyond before Justice League just because that kind of closes off the whole Batman, except we get the all the Batman stuff to Justice League.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it only fits with the timeline because it literally was the next show to come out in that universe. So yeah, we can touch on that. You
Yeah.
wanna start us out?
Well, yeah, man. I'll be honest. So I remember that came out. I was a little bit older, and it was like super. I've always been into sci-fi and cyberpunk, and the fact that it had hacking and stuff like that. I always thought hacking was cool. Anything with hacking, I was like, this is awesome. Love the
Yep.
Matrix. But it had hacking, it had technology, had that cyberpunk feel. So I was like instantly into it. Um, like at the time, I was like, how does this random dude end up like? How does Batman trust this random dude? You know, because when they originally meet, you know, he's fighting off these Joker gang, you know, and he ends up at Bruce Wayne's house, you know, randomly. But turns
Yeah.
out later he's like literally Bruce Wayne's like clone, like DNA clone. So the random meeting at the beginning kind of seems faked. I don't know, like it was like made to happen, but
You
I don't know. I think
well
animation
you
style, I think everything. It was a class act. I love the way that it gave finality and respect to the Bruce Wayne character we all know and love. You know,
yeah.
Like, yeah, I really appreciated that. So, and honestly, I think it's a masterpiece. I want to go read. I hear now that they've brought him into main DC Comics, and I would not mind going and reading the Batman Beyond actual DC like lore that they've got going on now.
Yeah, and they're written by Dan Jurgens, who's like one of the prime writers for Superman, definitely during the era of the death and return of Superman. So
Right.
yeah, yeah, you
So,
really you really jumped the gun there. You just went out there and just completely gave away, away what happens towards the end
oh,
of
sorry.
Batman Beyond, but that's okay.
I mean, it's the evolution of a new Batman,
Yeah,
and the kind of the setting sun of another one, And I mean, that's what I always liked about it is that we got to see that like Bruce Wayne's work carries on, even though Bruce Wayne is not capable of doing the work himself.
right, right. Oh, wait, never mind. I thought you were talking about the big spoiler, the big twist with like who is Terry and all that. No, that doesn't take place until like the epilogue episode of uh Justice League Unlimited. The season, the literally the season 2 finale is that where you that realization and you find out who this kid really is and all that stuff. But no, but you're right. He is kind of like a clone to Bruce, but not in the sense that like he's rich and well known, but just that like he also has suffered tragedy. But what was really cool about Batman Beyond is it. I just watched a video on this on IGN's channel here, and the documentary was essentially about this became a classic, but it was a classic that nobody wanted, uh, no one even thought of or wanted. It just happened. Like literally, they said, "Hey, we really like what you've been doing with, Batman and Superman and all that, but like we want to once again we want to market to kids. So could you come out with like a younger version of Batman?" And they literally within like the same day they had that discussion, they got a green light, and it's like, oh crap! Well, I better start assembling a team because they're going to be wanting the first episode and just within like half a year or something like that. So yeah, it was.
Hey, Drew, hold up 1 second. So Agent Cub had so Susan Owen, who is obviously a Russian bot, bum today. For some reason, the Russian bots always say "bum" today. I don't even know what that means. Or maybe I don't know. Maybe that's a human. I don't know if it's a human or not. But Agent Cub said at human. Oh, and Agent Cub, I just want to say you were talking about Russia destroying. If y'all could just like aim your nukes at Washington, because those are the guys creating those problems. That would help us out, and like kind of just leave everyone else alone, because those guys are the ones causing y'all problems. Y'all can take care of them. But Susan Owen, you love this show too. I'm sure Susan Owen, if she's not a Russian bot, loves the show. And if she is a Russian bot, she loves the show. And then Agent Cub asked, "Who is this Bruce Wayne?" Which is obviously a troll. But yes, LOL. Bruce Wayne is Batman. Go on. We're talking about Batman Beyond.
Yeah,
LOL.
but essentially what they did, uh, Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, Glenn Murakami, Alan Burnett, all these seminal guys that have helped be a part of these previous shows in the DCAU. They essentially created another Batman show, but they made the star more like Spider-Man, if you think about it, because he's
Yeah,
like,
he did do a lot more. He's like flying, gliding, hand to hand combat. Yeah.
well, not
It's a,
only that, but Batman was like never going to school and trying to juggle romance at the same time and trying to like growing up and experiencing like a huge tragedy in his life. A key family member of his died, stuff like that. So
well, Agent Cub is upset that we spoiled the fact that Batman is Bruce Wayne. So, but always expect spoilers on my channel. I was running a channel before this, before, and it was called Spoilers Only, and it literally, because that's like that was all you were gonna get from the channel were spoilers, and I think that rule goes here too. We're not gonna do the pre-spoiler shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen No Way Home, and I'm at a point that I can't be like, don't give me a spoiler. I pretty much know everything that happens.
Yeah,
It'd
but
be
it's
nice to see
still
it.
it's kind of like when I got spoiled that Han Solo gets killed and Kylo Ren is his son. That it was more or less, well, at the time I thought I cared, but looking back on it now, it was silly of me to even get upset over something like that because there was no love or care put into those movies. But anyway, oh yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, and the fact that Eric Matthews was the new Batman, it was crazy. And
Who is Eric Matthews again? The voice actor?
Will Friedle, who's the voice actor of Terry McGinnis, he is Eric Matthews on Boy Meets World.
Okay.
Yeah. And what was really cool, like, to keep the continuity, is that like, we're gonna set this like 30 years into the future from when the time our Batman, Kevin Conroy, the Batman who we've been watching since '92, uh, he's going to retire, and then this show is going to take place 30 years later. That Batman is still going to be alive. And we're going to use the same voice actor, but now he's going to be more of a mentor and just the guy in the shadows, if you will. Ha ha ha. So even when he's not the one in the shadows, he still is. So that's how cool Bruce Wayne is. So
Right.
there you go.
Yeah, he's a great character. I actually heard one today. It was actually what's his name who did the original Batman. Uh,
Parademons. There it is. Ah, damn it.
oh,
Ah,
what?
Darkseid's minions. They're called parademons. Finally got
Yes,
they
yes, they
finally
are.
got to me. There it is. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, what were you saying?
But he said that the only way they could make the original Batman uh, not cheesy was if they made the movie about Bruce Wayne, and like that was the solution. So when they focused on Bruce Wayne as the main character, it became more that adults can like focus on it and stuff like that.
Well, and I once heard this from one of the creators involved with the universe. Is that if you think about it, Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent are really the secret identities because Batman and Superman are known to everyone wherever they come from, but no one knows who they are in real life. And it's because of who that character is when he's not fighting crime. It
Right,
gives you more of an appreciation of what they do and why they do it. So
right.
yeah, so like anyone could be Batman or Superman, but it take like for Bruce Wayne, for instance, so much discipline and patience had to be put into him to become Batman. And
Yeah,
it's the same with Clark. The values he was taught by the Kents, the way he was raised,
so true.
it's just that's what makes the characters so great.
Because you saw in Red Sun, he had different values and he was a different Superman, like
Yeah,
Superman's not great because he's powerful. Superman is great because he's just like a righteous dude who's powerful.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, and it would have been unfortunate if Superman came from Russia and not America. Luckily, that's not the case. So
Well, it was in one universe at least.
yeah, true.
Maybe not in ours, but we're referring to Red Sun for those people who don't know, which is totally in the other animated universe that we're not talking about, but it's
Yeah,
still fun.
Yeah, that would not come for years and years later after these shows went on the air. So,
Yeah, I loved Fascist Superman. I was like, this is great.
well, are you talking about Red Sun now, or are you talking about Injustice? Because
I'm talking about Red Sun, but yeah, Injustice definitely has its. I still want to hear the whole story because I don't know why Superman's going nuts.
well, I could tell you
But
right
I'm
now.
playing the game right now.
You're playing the second one though. You're not playing the first
Playing
one
the
where
second one, yeah. I'm not playing the first.
yeah, the story's revealed in the first one.
Well, there's a movie about it now, so I'm gonna have to pick up on the movie.
Well, if you don't care that I spoil it for you, I will. But if you want to,
Go ahead. Why don't you spoil it for me? Talk for a second because I have to go on mute for a second. But spoil away. All right.
oh, okay,
All right. Be back in just one sec. I'm still with you, but I just have to put the mic off. So anyway.
oh, okay, sure, yeah. So Injustice is essentially what happens if Superman gives up his morals of not killing and not taking a life. What happens is the Joker kidnaps Lois, and she's pregnant with Clark's kid, and the Joker essentially kills both of them, and he does what he normally does with the Joker, and you know the Joker is arrested, and he gets away with it, and then Clark goes to confront him, and Batman stops him and is like, what are you doing? And then Clark's like, I'm tired of you, Bruce. You always let this guy go, only for him to create even more havoc and more destruction, more chaos, more hurt in people's lives. Well, today I'm finally going in this, and he literally takes his hand and puts it through the Joker's chest, and like
Oh my
just
God! Really?
straight up kills him. Yeah, and then finally Clark just justifies it as that needed to be done. He needed to be killed. So, and then that just begins the whole thing of Superman essentially doing things his own way, and he becomes kind of a fascist. So,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
that's
give a real quick to our zero audience. Ice apocalypse report. I am standing outside and it is sleeting ice everywhere. Ice as all the cars are covered in sleet, the ground, and it's slowly melting and then becoming ice on the ground. So we are full ice apocalypse mode. So just wanted to bring that out. So I know everyone's listening and waiting for that information.
good man, good man.
Yeah. But back to Batman Beyond. So who was your favorite villain from the series?
And Batman Beyond.
Batman Beyond.
Hmm. Hmm. That one's that one's kind of tricky because I feel like while the show did a really good job of its villains, it mostly did a real good job of exploring Batman's past. I'm gonna have to go with the reincarnation of the Joker from Return of the Joker. Like that was just
So
holy.
that's you're talking about the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. That's what I was gonna say too. But you go ahead and explain it because I'm just gonna go straight to the spoilers.
Yeah. So Return of the Joker is a movie set in the Batman Beyond world.
Where was it released? Was it a movie theater? Was it home
This
release?
was this was the first one, well, actually the second one to be released straight to DVD. The first being uh, Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero, which was taking place around the time of the original Batman the Animated Series, mostly because Mr. Freeze had gained such a huge heightened popularity thanks to Batman and Robin, the movie.
Which he's such a great character.
Yeah, but at the end of that one, they actually are able to revive his wife, and Bruce Timm did not like that. He was not involved with that movie, but he did not like that choice because that just means that his arc is over and he's got nothing left to do, nothing to fight for, you know?
But it is kind of sweet that he gets that. I don't know. I can see it on both sides because it is nice to see the villain, like he did bad things for a good reason, and then the good reason occurred,
Mhm.
and I don't know. That's kind of a good arc as a redemption story, you know.
I feel like just to give it justice, but when talking about the new Batman adventures, it's very important that I touch on uh, the Nightwing of it all, uh, mostly because there's this great episode where Tim Drake, the guy who becomes Robin after Dick Grayson, he tracks down Nightwing and he's asking him, "How come you left your role as Robin? Why did you leave Batman?" And then we finally get to hear the story of what happened, the separating and Dick becoming his own man, essentially. And it's a really great story about growing up, moving on, but ultimately coming to terms and forgiveness, which um, forgiveness is not really something people want to talk about anymore these days. Definitely not in
Not at
mainstream
all.
mainstream media.
They want revenge,
Mm-hmm.
vengeance.
A lot of people did not like the Jeff Johns Three Jokers that came out a couple years ago. But what I really liked about it is there's this really nice moment between Batman and his parents' killer where he eventually forgives him. And like all of that pain, that frustration, that agitation, whatever it is that haunts Batman every day, and what this guy did to his parents. He could see that like he's now a decrepit old man and he's dying, and Bruce is just like, okay, I gotta speak my piece, and he doesn't even have to say anything. Joe Chill just goes, I'm sorry, and it was just a really nice moment. And then he dies, but I thought that was really cool because that's not really something you see anymore. Uh, like that whole thing of forgiveness and redemption. I mean,
Yeah,
this guy's this guy isn't redeemed for what he did, but he's come to terms with it and he's realizing that what he did was awful. So
was not good.
yeah, exactly. And I thought I wish Johns had done more of that than what he tried to do with Joker. I mean, I liked the story, but a lot of people who are like huge fans of the Killing Joke, it just ruined a lot of the canon for them. But then it turns out DC backpedals and says, "Oh, this one's not canon actually." And that's what's always struck me about that company is like they wait for critical reception before they decide if that's going to be canon to their hero's story or not.
Right?
So it's kind of funny. It's like when it's like why the multiverse is such a huge aspect now in comic book movies. It's like, oh, well, if we screw up so bad, we can just retcon it all, or
We could
just
just
say, oh,
retcon
well,
it, change
it's
it,
in
make it
it's
better.
in it's in another
That's a big
universe.
complaint everyone has about it. So on
Hmm.
Mask of the Phantasm, not Mask of the Phantasm, the Return of the Joker.
Hmm.
Um, I'm gonna skip to those spoilers, man. Like it turns out that it's not the original Joker. That the Joker comes back, and they're like, "How the hell did the Joker come back?"
Hmm.
But Joker's DNA was saved and
Hmm.
got injected into Tim Drake,
Hmm.
one of the original Robins. And yeah, Tim Drake had literally transformed into the Joker. So he was fighting one of his comrades who had been infected by like the Joker.
Yeah, he had a microchip that had all of Joker's DNA and mannerisms, everything that went into his character, just conveniently put on the back of the neck of an older Tim Drake. essentially.
Yep.
Oh, that happened when he got kidnapped by Joker and Harley, and that's why Batman and Batgirl have to go rescue him.
And this was in New Adventures?
Yeah, so that would have taken place in the new Batman Adventures continuity because Tim Drake is in the picture. And but they kind of wrote that as like a backstory to like give fans more of that kind of
Closure.
yeah.
So you said he was in prison?
Joker?
No, Tim Drake. I'm
No,
sorry,
no.
I was opening a nutty bar. I was so I missed the. You
I
said in
thought
the new continuity, Tim Drake, how they wrote him off. What did you say they did?
first of all, don't aren't nutty bars called something else these days?
Oh no,
I
what?
can't remember. No,
Camp?
I thought the Little Debbie company gave them a new name because I can't
Oh,
remember.
she might have.
Mhm.
It's too noisy out there for me to go look though. Everybody's awake right now, so
Yeah, that's all good. Um,
I
hmm.
thought that was gonna be some bad dad joke or some really perverted joke.
Oh no, this is only episode one, but give it time. So
Damn it, I can't eat the nutty bar and talk. I'm like, I tempted myself with nutty bar. I went out to the living room. So we're at hour 26, man. We need to get into Justice League. We got
yes,
Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, and we got about 35 minutes.
all good.
So let's get into the original Justice League. Like, it seems like I think I remember them saying it was planned out to originally go straight into Justice League from Batman,
Yeah,
but it did Superman. They were like, they need to slow roll it some and see how the fans react, and so they did Superman first.
yeah,
But it was
and I think
planned from the beginning to do Justice League.
that was a better choice because then when we get into Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, everything up to this point is now canon, and so like whatever has happened to these characters in the past is they'll this character might have a moment in either show where they're having a reflection of like what does this remind me of, or oh yeah, I remember this character, how did I respond to him this last time. So it's like it's really cool because like it essentially rewards you for paying attention to what has happened in the past. And then so like and definitely with these writers, they cared so much about continuity
Yep.
that there was a lot of fan service and a lot of keep paying attention, you will be rewarded for it.
Oh yeah.
And ultimately
Get
you
into
are.
Wonder Woman's backstory, Martian Manhunter's backstory.
Yeah.
Flash got his time. Are we sure there's? I even looked before. There wasn't a Flash show, but I remember a Flash show. I'm just remembering Superman then. I'm remembering Superman and Justice League. I just swear Flash had his own cartoon at some point.
No, never did.
It's like it's just my memories of the other ones, man. But yeah, we got a lot of the Flash stuff. Did we get an Aquaman backstory? I think we got that in Superman.
Aquaman was in Superman the animated series, but it was a completely different version from the one we eventually got in Justice League. The same with Green Lantern.
Oh shit, really?
Mm-hmm.
So how are the two Aquaman? Oh, hey, real
One,
quick, I want to say a shout out to our latest Russian bot. She said the same thing the other Russian bot said, Vum today. Vumtoday. But we appreciate robots and robot kind, and we do like it that we are coming and say hi. So thank you, robots, for enjoying us.
beep beep boop bop beep beep boop.
Beep. Yeah, I think they got it. Anyways, so yeah, Justice League. Where were we?
Where are we? We're 20 years later, more than 20 years later, and I can't believe it since
Yeah.
Justice League. And I just remember getting my first view of this incredible show and just being blown away. And the fact that they turned like their first outing into like a movie, like how they all came together, it was really cool how they did
How
that.
old were you when this debuted?
Oh, dude, I was 9, at least 9.
Did you watch it live? Or
Some
did
I
you watch
did,
it afterwards?
some I did watch live, but all of it I didn't watch until I was much much older. And I think there's a good reason for that, because when you're watching something as a kid, you don't really understand the writing. You just care more about like the action
Yeah.
and what all the spectacle. But when you watch it when you're older, you understand that like all of these shows were not just made for kids, but they were made for all ages. So like you could be an adult and just sit down and watch all this, and you'd be like, yeah, I was
I watch
very
Justice League Unlimited every year.
yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, that HBO, uh I guess it was on DC Universe for a while. Now it's on HBO. What is it? The Young Justice. Young Justice has kind of caught my attention too that way, even though I don't like the new season as much.
Yeah, fun fact, Young Justice and the original Teen Titans are not contained in this universe. They were made by some of the people who were involved with these other shows, but
They
they
even hinted once about the Teen Titans.
yeah,
Someone
they
asked where
did.
Robin was, and he says, "Oh, he's with the Teen Titans."
Yeah, it was Static, and he asked, "Where's Robin?" And then Batman goes, "With the Titans." And then you're like, "Okay, maybe this is going to connect," but it ultimately never did.
Static is in this universe, right?
Yeah, Static Shock is in the universe, all thanks to Dwayne McDuffie. Yeah.
Shit. So where's that fall in the timeline? Is that pre or post
Well,
Batman?
it really doesn't. It kind of just was its own thing. I mean, Static had crossovers with the Justice League and Batman Beyond. Not all of the Justice League, but just like key members. So like Batman, Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, stuff like that.
So he
But
was
like,
a new property that was bought up from, I believe, Milestone Comics. They bought up this company, and that was one of the characters they brought in, and so they debuted him at like on a cartoon rather than debut him in the comic or anything. They made him his own show
I,
because they bought up some other companies. So that's actually where the property came from. And so they tried to, and they started him off. He was only in the animated series. He wasn't even in the comics. So I think he's in the comics now. And that character
well,
becomes really awesome in Young Justice. Really awesome.
well, he already had comics before his show, but no one knew who he was until that animated series, which put him on the map. So yeah, definitely. But when it comes to Static Shock and the Zeta Project, they're not really in the discussion, other than like they might have crossed over with some of the characters in this universe.
Did you see Zeta Project?
I remember seeing commercials for it, but I never really watched it. See, Zeta showed up in an episode of Batman Beyond, and then I guess people were like, "Oh, well, here's another chance for another show to get made around centered around this character." And
Right.
apparently they did some good because they got 2 seasons out of it. So, but yeah, no, I had never really paid attention and watched it. So, yeah, he had Static was already in comics. It's just that he didn't have the same kind of exposure as he did from his own cartoon.
Yeah. Poor
Yeah,
Static.
I remember really loving Static too, Static Shock when I was a kid. Definitely.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed that one thoroughly.
Hmm.
I mean, all the DC always dominated animation. So let's see, where was I? I still feel I was like at my grandparents' house when I saw the Justice League, but I was like
Hmm.
older. Um,
Yeah, it debuted in 2001.
oh no, shoot, 2001. Okay, It was on Cartoon Network.
Yep.
Damn, I saw that when my daughter was like, no, no, I was in college. I was in college. And yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I love the way it brought everyone together.
Yeah.
It really set up for what I still think to this day is the greatest cartoon series of all time, which is Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah, and for me that would be Teen Titans, but for different reasons. But yeah.
The original Titans.
Yeah, man. Not the Go stuff, which is
Yeah, no one
mostly
likes to
just
go.
it's a well, little kids do, but it was a slap in the face to the fans because they literally took all of the original voice actors and placed them into that show, and then saying, "Oh yeah, they're back." No, they're not. They're just smaller with bigger heads.
Well, DC animated movies did a decent with those characters.
Yeah.
They did okay by me, especially Raven. Raven played a big part in a lot of that stuff.
Are you talking about just Titans, the show?
I'm talking about DC animated movies. I'm talking about Justice League versus Teen Titans,
Oh yeah,
uh,
that's
Dark, Dark Justice.
which is actually a completely different universe from the one that we've been talking about.
Yes, supposedly, but
Mm-hmm.
yes, it is. I still pretend like they're not. I don't give a damn. But yeah, let's get back to Justice League. Sorry.
You're fine. Yeah.
It's been so long, I don't remember the specifics of the actual series.
Well, it's simple. One day, uh, aliens come to Earth, and Superman and Batman are like, "Oh shit, what are we gonna do?" And then all of a sudden, they're joined by some amazing characters with special powers. But apparently, they have already met some of them because in the dialogue, it sounds like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And "Oh, I didn't think you would show up." And I'm like, "Wait a minute." So they've already met, but this episode is supposed to act like how they met. So
Right?
it was just all over the place, really. But I can really tell that this was like the guys who had been working on Batman since like 90 the early 90s. Like this was it for them. They had finally made it. They were headlining. They were on stage and they were just hammering it out one week after another. And it was awesome. And the fact that every story took like 2 episodes to tell.
Yeah, made it like movie like.
Yeah, exactly. And it really shows how much the network believed in them and their talent and was like, yeah, we know you guys are capable of doing this, so go for it. So it was so good.
Right?
Yeah. So and there were some really, really great episodes. Jon Stewart ended up becoming my favorite Green Lantern of all time, and a lot of that has to do because of Phil Lamar and what he brought to the character in the show. He was just so good.
Give us the background of Jon Stewart. He wasn't the pilot, right?
That's Hal
Hal
Jordan.
is the pilot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Jon Stewart was in the military and kind of similar to Hal in some ways. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, what was your favorite villain of the series?
Ooh, favorite villain. I've got love for Vandal Savage. I do like him. He's a really great villain in the show. But if we're talking about favorite villain of all, you've got to go with Clancy Brown's Lex Luthor. Like, especially in that third season where he's like literally leading the the villain, like the League of Villains, that like um the Legion of Doom, like
Legion of Doom, yes.
when they all come together towards the end, and then eventually they run into uh Dark Side and all that. Oh, just it's so good, so good. Lex Luthor was incredible in seasons 2 and 3 of Justice League Unlimited. Like a guy
I
who,
remember him stealing the show, and this is when he had the green suit a bunch too, right?
yes, yes,
Yes.
yeah,
Definitely stole the show.
hmm yeah, he he was excellent. Like this guy, you could tell this guy really loved what he was doing, and he put so much work into that role.
Well, let's get into Justice League Unlimited, man. Are you got anything else on Justice League you want to get out? Because I want to get into the big. I've been waiting for this one.
Yeah, man. Justice League proved that even though the old voice actor for Superman couldn't be a part of the experience, George Newbern was very welcome, and he really added a maturity to Superman that we had yet to see in cartoons. Kevin Conroy's Batman, always great, of course, but he really came out to be a badass in the first 2 seasons of just Justice League. I mean, the episode where Joker rounds up the Royal Flush Gang, who all turn out to be the original voice actors for Teen Titans, which was a really cool thing.
Oh, that's so cool
to see after all these years later. Yeah. Yeah. Batman was just like his snark, his one-liners, just the way that he gets away with murder when it comes to talking to certain characters. It's just it's so good. He's so cocky, and I love it.
Right.
And then at one point, Wonder Woman is like, "Okay, so why can't we date?" And he goes, "First of all, you're an Amazonian warrior. I'm just an orphan with like psychological issues or something along those lines." It was really funny. So it's like, damn, Bruce, you're just telling it like it is.
Well, someone's got to.
Yeah, Carl Lumbly as
Wonder
Martian.
Woman's got it hard.
Yeah, Carl Lumbly as Martian Manhunter, fantastic. I've always liked Jon. I thought he was a really great character. But I think the one that definitely steals the show the most is Michael Rosenbaum as Flash, who, if you guys don't know this, Michael Rosenbaum was the live voice, the live actor who played Lex Luthor in Smallville. So it was
way.
Yeah, so it's really great to see him.
So he was not the guy who was shot by in Kenosha. Rosenbaum. Anyway, sorry.
Oh.
Sorry, that went over everyone's jokes. Yeah, I'm making Kyle jokes.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I heard his name brought up, I instantly thought of the actor too. But yeah,
I immediately think of the pedophile dude. But
oh man,
hope that doesn't get me banned. It probably will.
But the season 2 finale of Justice League, Starcrossed, where Hawk Girl essentially betrays the League and like lets her people come in and just take over the world. Oh, it's so good.
Yes.
And it's so heartbreaking too, because you know that Jon Stewart has been trying a while now to like really be with her. In the previous episode, they finally do get to be with each other, and then this all just comes crashing down. And it turns out that the League wanted to keep her even after all that, but she was the one who exiled herself. She's the one. Shira left all on her own accord. So, yeah.
Yes,
Oh my God! But I've got to mention this: the encounter with Superman and Darkseid and Darkseid in the season 2 premiere, where they literally fight on a planet that's shaped like Brainiac.
Oh, yes.
And like this is basically like Superman getting his revenge for what Darkseid did to him at the end of his show. And he's like, and Darkseid's like, what's gonna be so different about this? He said, and then Superman just essentially says, well, this time I'm not going to leave until you're nothing but a greasy smear on my fist. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh, this is the most badass Superman moment that I can remember in recent memory, because I was like towards the end of 2020 when I was watching all of these for the very first time, and I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, go. It was so good. And then I love at the end when like Superman's telling Batman, get the hell out of here, leave. And like Bats is like, no, nope, I'm not doing that. And so he gets he opens a portal and like takes him back with him. And then they're all sitting there after that place blows up, and he turns to Batman and he goes, "You know what, Bruce? You're not always right." And it's just like, dang, Superman's getting some balls in this
But
season. I love it.
he's the only one who could tell Bruce that,
Yeah,
like no one else could say that to him.
yeah, exactly. Well, yes,
Like not even the superpowered people.
yeah. I've always loved the Superman and Batman dynamic.
Someone's got to tell him.
They've definitely got a bromance going on, and that's
Yeah,
why those are like my favorite comics when like they team up together. It's like, oh, it's always so good.
are
You got
they in a throuple now with Lois on the moon?
yeah, yeah.
Like they're doing an X-Men?
Oh, that's one movie we forgot to talk about is the Superman Batman movie where like they meet for the very first time, and this was kind of like
Is that pre the Superman movie? I think it is.
it is. Yeah,
Let's go back on that one real quick because I remember that one.
yeah. So there's something going around in Gotham, and like a kryptonite dragon has been stolen, and turns out it's Joker, and he's delivering it to Lex Luthor because kryptonite can take out Superman, and Batman visits Metropolis because he's trying to figure out what's going on with Joker, and like they just meet, and like the very first time Superman meets Batman, Batman literally flips him over his body, and like Superman lands on a table. They're like in a club, and then Superman like uses his X-ray vision, and he like looks through Batman's cowl, and he sees that it's Bruce Wayne, and then Batman's like, "You peeked," and it's just like, oh. And then eventually he like puts a tracker on Superman, so like when he goes back to his apartment is Clark, and Clark's like, "Wait a minute, what's this doing on my costume?" And he looks out the window, and Batman's like looking at him through binoculars. It's like the ultimate Chad because he's
You're like, you know
already,
who I am. I know who you are, bitch.
right, exactly, and he's already got a date with Lois, and then he's already exposed Clark, and he knows who he is. And it's like, oh, it's so good. Oh man, and that's also the movie where Batman saves Harley from like a big jet or some kind of ship, and it's like falling into the water or whatever. But like it like blows up, and it's like falling into the ocean, and like Joker was aboard that ship in that ship, and he saves Harley, and they're like parachuting out, and Harley looks up, and she goes, "Puddin'," and then Batman goes, "At this point, he probably is." So good. Oh man, the writing! I was just oh, that was my world's finest. Like when I heard that they were going to do a Superman Batman movie, I said, okay, well, if it's anything like the one that they put out for the DC animated universe, we're in for a treat. And of course, it wasn't. But
You okay? I was little bit off topic, but I have to bring this up because it came up in my research for this video. So this guy was talking about some of the DC animated stuff, and then he went out on how much he liked Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman,
mm-hmm.
and how his first reaction. But then he went home and he heard some criticism, and he rewatched it, and he believed the criticism. And therefore, he's now changed his mind that he does not like Batman versus Superman. And my whole question is, because for me, like it's always about the fun, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I like the King Kong Godzilla movie. So I wanted to see two monsters beat each other up, two monsters beat each other up. It's like, if you had fun at the movie and then changed your mind later, because I thought it was just weird throughout. I was just like, I wasn't really. I don't know. I was kind of numb during it. Didn't do for me what I thought a Batman versus Superman movie should have done. It just seemed a little off from the beginning. But I just thought it was odd that this guy had a good time, enjoyed the movie a lot, and then decided to hate it because he heard something on the internet. And I wanted to see what you thought of that.
I mean, it sounds about right. I mean, people are very protective of what they love, and they just don't want to see a lesser version of what they've pictured, what they've imagined it to be, essentially. And
That makes sense.
I think the problem with the internet, it's become very much a tribalist thing that like, oh well, I need to go with this faction because we've kind of created a us versus them mentality when it comes to anything, any franchise, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of like why I've never understood the whole Marvel versus DC loyalist thing because I love both. Uh,
Right.
and life is just so much easier when you do. Now, truthfully, if someone asks me which one do you like better, I'm going to say DC, and a lot of that has to do because of this universe we've been
For me,
talking
it was like I have X amount of dollars and I
about.
have X amount of and Y amount of like comics that I need to buy. So if I focus on just buying Marvel, which I was enjoying more at the time and had more things, the more I focused my dollar bills towards that, I wouldn't go broke because I couldn't do both.
Sure.
Couldn't afford both.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was the greater of two goods, I guess. So the lesser of two evils, the greater of two goods.
Hmm. I mean, I understand, but yeah, if someone ever asked me, "Oh, well, which one do you like more?" and I'd be like, "Oh, well, it's obviously DC because," and a lot of that has to do with this universe that we've been talking about tonight. It's
Yeah.
like this literally did make me a Superman, Batman, Green Lantern fan, you know? And it's
The,
because these characters were treated with such care and these stories were just so good and entertaining. The dialogue was fantastic. The action was top notch. Just
these really prove that you can do a drama in cartoons too. I mean, I guess you
yes.
kind of had the drama going on in the X-Men, but I think it was so much better done in DC animated universe. The it's like half of the reason the whole thing existed so they could have them all bang, like everyone getting in relationships and relationship troubles affecting the team. Like it was really real. Like it people had real problems. They had real, you know, and I do think that that really pushed animation because not only was the action the smoothest physical movement action of any animated series previous that I can think of, but the way they integrated the drama, the suspense, the horror, like it was just all around like
Well, and the earliest example of that is whenever Batman ran into Catwoman in his animated series, the original. I always loved that because I was like, Bruce is conflicted. What does he do? He knows she's a criminal, but he's not going to turn her in because he loves her. And it's just it was like that same dynamic I got with Spider-Man and Black Cat. You know,
yeah.
it's just people love that kind of stuff. They love conflict. They love, oh my gosh, how is this? How are they going to get out of this one? And I just
Well,
hope it
that's what
makes.
made Spider-Man so great. Like he had such a miserable life. And I still haven't seen No Way Home, but I'm kind of already all caught up, but unwillingly, but it's what it is at this point when you do what I do for you know.
Oh yeah.
But I hear that it ends in a very miserable place for Spider-Man to be, and it's just like, well, where else would Spider-Man be if he's not ending in a miserable place that he has to pull himself out of again, but pull himself up by the bootstraps just to get knocked down? That was like the story of every Spider-Man. He does good, he fucks up. He does good, he fucks up. It's just the life of Peter Parker, man.
And that's what people loved so much, and why a lot of the fans still consider Spider-Man 2 to be the best Spider-Man movie that's ever been made because that one gets Peter Parker. It's like
Yeah,
here's a guy who cannot pay his rent. He's not making enough at his job. He's worried about his aging aunt. On top of that, the girl he loves just got engaged to this rock star of a person, an astronaut. He could never compete with that. And then he's also having issues with being Spider-Man, and he's like, do I really want to keep doing this, or do I want to be happy? It's got that same dynamic with Bruce in Mask of the Phantasm. He's like, do I want to be with Andrea, do I want to give up this life? Do I want to stop being Batman? You know? And it's
Yeah.
just like, it just makes good drama because it's real. It, it's
What was
not,
there was a meme, it was in one of my sci-fi writers groups, and it was just like story legging on, like it was that tape, that the Flex Seal tape that you slap it on and it'll fix anything, and it
oh
said
yeah.
like love triangle. And it was like script not interesting, and then he slaps it on, it's like love triangle.
Well, there you
Solves
go.
everything. Now you have a plot.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie, when I read Kingdom Come, I was a little miffed that like Superman was messing with Wonder Woman and not Lois, even though Lois was dead.
Well, I mean, that takes place in the future, and Lois can't be around forever.
Yeah, but he should stay chaste because he's Superman. But whatever. It just seemed weird. It'd be like fucking your brother. I don't know. I just don't think that those two. You know what I'm saying? Like the person you worked with for 20 years. Like you really think like you know what I'm saying? It's like we've been at work for 20 years. Like yeah, no.
Well, that definitely gives me an insight into the mind of a young Jeff Johns when Kingdom Come came out. Then, because then he's like, the idea of Superman and Wonder Woman being together, I'm going to put that in my Justice League run, and for the New
Right.
52.
Let's get to about 4 minutes, my man. So throw a few thoughts out there on the Justice League Unlimited. I wanted to say a few things.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Stargirl, that Stargirl episode was fantastic. I actually got really excited for Stargirl and didn't. Once I saw it, I was like, no, this wasn't what I was expecting. But it took so many small characters that were like back and gave like B list, C list characters, like the Question. Question's one of my favorite characters now. He's fascinating, you know. He's
Oh, the
got like
question is
Rorschach and
fantastic.
Batman.
Yeah, in season 2 of Justice League Unlimited, the question stands out as one of the best for sure.
Oh yeah. And I just love the way it gives so many different heroes a chance to tell a story. And it's a different story each time, but they all kind of still meld together. You know, it's like one big story, but you see it from different perspectives.
Well, and definitely, I cannot gush enough about this season 2 of Justice League Unlimited, but it's one huge arc that ultimately has such a payoff that it doesn't even compare to anything else people have tried to build up to before. Like, it's just an amazing story of like essentially the Justice League trying to fight this shadow government that's like trying to dictate everything
Yeah.
essentially and keep them in line. And I love the fact that Batman can just face one of them and be like, you want to try and mess with us? Go ahead, you know? And yeah, and that is,
I'll never get over the first time I saw Batman just stand up and pop fucking Darkseid in the jaw. Like, what the fuck? Like, unprovoked too. It was like that dude's got balls of steel. Like, I don't think he's as smart as they say he is when he does shit like that.
oh, Batman don't give a fuck, dude.
He must have had that like super suit by that time.
I was so happy for the question too when I found out he was tapping Huntress. I was like, good for you, man. That's awesome.
Huntress has got a cool story. I don't know that I like as much how she was done in Suicide Squad. I mean, not that I didn't like it. I
You
just
mean the Birds of Prey movie?
Birds of Prey. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like she could have been done better. I just feel I don't know why. I mean, I don't know how I would fix it, but
Yeah, so that android I was talking about earlier, he's called Amazo. That's who that is. Yeah.
yes, and he comes back in Justice League Unlimited,
Yes, he does.
and he can like imitate powers and whatnot.
Well, yeah, that one crazy episode where he's able to replicate the powers of literally everyone in the league, and you're like, oh shit. The more that he learns, the more powerful he becomes. It's kind of
Yeah,
like Doomsday in that way too, because once he's been defeated a certain way, you can never defeat him that way again. You have to find another way.
Yeah. Damn.
But what's really funny is when they use Doomsday.
So when did Doomsday come into the series? You said we'll get into that later. It is definitely later.
So
he came in during Unlimited, right?
I want to say no. It was the original Justice League. In fact, let's see here, because I've gone pretty much off of what I know, what I remember from the top of my head. But like when it comes to like names of episodes and where certain things took place, I'm starting to get a little blurry here. But like I said, I'm only in training, so
we are comic history masters in training. By the way, while you look that up, next week, guys, we are deep diving Daredevil. So we're going to each be reading our own stuff this week. Going to watch some videos. We're going to each learn up some Daredevil and then get together and talk about it in this 2-hour format. And if you didn't listen to this, but you're listening later, definitely listen next week. And y'all are definitely allowed to super chat, and like that would be cool too. We would definitely read those, but we'll read your chats too, even though you're mostly Russian bots. But we like Russian bots. We don't have anything wrong with them.
So during the Justice Lords episode of season 2 of Justice League, they use that opportunity to bring Doomsday in, and it's really funny how it's done, because it's a darker Superman. Like, this guy has literally killed President Lex Luthor because he literally just like he gave him no choice, and he basically acted out in the way that the Injustice Superman acts out. He's like, well, this one was justified, but once you justify one death, you start to justify.
This is the one who was using his beams to fucking melt people's fucking frontal lobe cortexes to make everyone into slaves.
Well, that's what he does to Doomsday. He well, actually, Doomsday shows up twice. He shows up in Justice League, and then later he shows up in Justice League Unlimited. But the first time it's against the Justice Lord Superman, and what he does is he just he literally just incapacitates him by striking his brain with his heat vision, and
right.
And then he's incapacitated. He can't do anything. So, but
who was your favorite Unlimited villain?
Probably the Shadow Government, Cadmus Labs, yeah, where they go up against and they're doing all this scheming behind the scenes to take down the League. They even infiltrate the watchtower, to get dirt on them. And
my favorite one was what the fuck's his name? Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah,
which made me like Flash even more and wanted to read more Flash. And I played Gorilla Grodd on Injustice a lot.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the Shazam episode of Justice League Unlimited?
I do. Yes.
That one was really good, because I love what Superman says when Shazam's trying to justify that, like, well, even people like Lex Luthor, who were once, we thought to be evil, he's really made a change over the years, and I think he'd be a great president with all the philanthropy he's doing and stuff like that. And I just love it when they call him in to, like, the League, the original 7 call him in to talk, and they're like, we cannot be endorsing any kind of political candidate whatsoever. And Shazam goes, why not? And then Superman's just like, because the world isn't that simple. And it's like, oh, he gets it. I love it. It's so good.
Because the world isn't that simple.
And then later it's found out that, yeah, the whole reason of getting Superman to show up at one of these public appearances is to make him look bad, because Superman believes that Lex Luthor has, like, set a trap for these innocent civilians, and he accuses him the entire time, and that's exactly what he's doing. But Shazam, he's like sees like Superman, what are you doing? No, and then like they fight, and they literally have a fight that's kind of similar. It's like a smaller scale version of the fight that happens in Man of Steel with Superman and Zod. And but by the end of it, like all these apartments and buildings that houses that Lex Luthor had built for these people to live in, it's all been demolished and smashed, and it was all caught in camera. And it's made to look like it was Superman. He did this all on his own, and it's his fault. And then towards the end of the episode, Shazam literally leaves the league. He's like, "Man, you were my hero. I really looked up to you, but like after all this, I just can't do it anymore." And he leaves the team, and it's like, dang, that was a brutal episode, and I loved it because it leads into the whole, oh well, we cannot trust these heroes, they must be stopped. And then you got the government once again trying to put an end to the Justice League, and it's just like, oh, it's so good. All that love and creativity that was put into that entire season, and it's worth watching every single episode, even the ones that don't even line up with the story, the overall plot. It's just
Right.
it's probably the most satisfying season of animated television that has ever existed.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
As I said, it's my top animated series of all time. Freaking love it. If y'all haven't watched it, go watch Justice League Unlimited. Watch all of them. Watch all of them, and then come back and like comment and say thank you for telling us about this. We wanted to hear. You know, it is. We're at 2:05, my man. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here, guys. We are. Oh, do you have any final thoughts, Drew?
Yeah, I wanted to touch on one more episode that I think
Which one
deserves
was that?
a discussion. Well, actually, two. The first one was more. It was probably the darkest episode of Batman that they ever did. It's the one where Batgirl literally dies, and then Gordon and the rest of the cops, they figure out who Batman is, and they literally like storm the Wayne Manor, and they like arrest Dick, they arrest Alfred, and they just got them all on the run. And then pretty soon, Gordon makes a deal with Bane to like kill Batman because he believes Batman is the reason why his daughter is dead. And it's just such a good episode. And then it turns out it was just like someone was having like a dream, or it was like a simulation to see what would happen if like their identities were ever discovered. And it was just crazy. And I don't know if you ever remember seeing that one, but yeah, it's a crazy episode, but it's really good. It's one of the most exhilarating episodes of
I was gonna say I don't remember that one at all, dude. Like Bane and fucking Commissioner Gordon working together.
yeah, man,
But it's
it's
worth
one
the
of the
rewatch.
yeah, it's a new Batman Adventures episode. Definitely worth checking out. But I also want to touch on an episode, I believe, of the original Justice League or Justice League Unlimited. I can't remember, but it's when they tackled the death of Superman storyline, and they literally have the procession, and they have the casket with the emblem on it, and then like they build like a kind of similar to like what they do in after Dawn of Justice, the statue of Superman to like commemorate him, but it was more like a statue, like a statue of the emblem that he wore on his chest. And there's a really great scene with Batman where he's like talking to Clark, even though he's dead, and he's like, you really did teach me a lot, and you made me take a look at myself, or in some kind of aspect like that. Just like it's Batman admitting that Superman has like touched his life, and he is inspired by him. And then it turns out that Superman isn't actually dead. It's presumed he's dead, but he's been transported in time into the future of what, and it gets into all that, and he meets up with Vandal Savage, and they have to team up together to build a time machine so that Superman can get back to his own time. But but the second part of this is just a really badass survival story of like, how is Superman going to get back to where he was before. And like it turns out he's like powerless, and he's growing
Got
a
away
beard.
from the yellow sun.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like a survivalist. He's got literal like wolves chasing after him or something, and he's grown a beard, and he's kind of acting like Conan the Barbarian. He's just trying to like survive and stuff. It's a really cool episode. So that one also deserves to take a look at too, if you don't remember that one. So, but yeah, man,
Definitely will check it out.
yeah, but yeah, I love this universe. Like I said, it made me a DC fan for life, and it was here long before the MCU, and it will still probably be the greatest extended universe that has ever existed.
It
Personally,
definitely goes better than the MCU for sure. For sure. Well, guys, I appreciate y'all joining us. For those who came in, to all of our Russian robots, we love you, Russian robots. Like, share, and subscribe. We're gonna do this show every week. Next week we're doing Daredevil, right? Um,
He's a
I'll
really
let
good
you know.
lawyer.
I have to set the date next week, but I'll just create a studio like I did for this, so it'll be set up, and y'all can just look and see what time it's gonna do. But yeah, we're gonna do this once a week. So deep dives every week into Marvel or into comic and franchise history madness, dude. We want to get into creators and comics as well. Got any
Yep.
final words, Drew?
Like I said, man, we're in training, but we're on the road to becoming masters. And that's what more could you ask for? So,
Masters.
very masters. Yes. Thank you all. Thank you all, 0 of you, for listening to this.
Oh yeah,
And
no, I think we had four. I think we had four total. Is the
well,
final count.
a special shout out to our Russian fans, our
Yes,
bot. May you bot on.
they're gonna be our minions one day.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
gonna train them.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, we will see you next week. Thank you for tuning in.
All right, guys. Talk to y'all soon, and it's been fun. See you.
Peace.